Hello, welcome along to Website Basics with your host Robert Smith. In the last video we had an introduction to tags, and what we learned in that was that most tags start like this with an opening tag and then have a closing tag like that. We learned how to do that. Okay, we learned three of the main sorts of tags that you'd use: the H tag, the P tag, and the LI and the UL. Now they're a little bit complicated, but more of that as time goes by. Now one thing these three tags have in common is that they're something called a block element. Now that sounds a little bit complicated, but it simply means that every time you have a closing tag and start a new one, it'll start a new line. As you can see over here on the page, when this H1 tag finishes and the new one starts, the H3, it starts a new line, and there it is there. Okay, let's have a look at another sort of tag. For example, many times you want to put an image on a web page. To do that, I'm going to do the same as I did in the last video. So shift, comma, like that, and that comes our tag helper, I like to call it. And I'm going to click on the letter I, because I want to put an image in. An IMG tag is what they call it in HTML. So if I double click that, you'll notice that it's gone a different color. Now what this is saying, I'll explain in a minute once we've done it, but the next step is just to press a space bar like that, and then press the letter S for source, or SRC is what you want. So we're looking for, in other words, which picture do you want to put in there. So if I double click on that, Dreamweaver helps us by giving us this little browse option, and on this, there's the file I want. I've browsed to find the horse.jpg. I don't have a picture of a bear. And there you go, and that's the path to where that is on my hard drive. Now, to see that, I'm simply going to close that tag a bit differently to the way we close an opening tag in a block element like we have above. I'm just going to press the slash and shift full stop like that. Now, the difference between this tag here, as you can see, there is really no opening tag and closing tag. There's just an opening tag with a slash in it. Now this is called an inline element. So let's have a look at that. If I click refresh, and there's my fabulous picture. Okay, it knows where it is. So let's do another one. Do the same thing. Let's practice doing that. So I'll use the same picture because I only have one picture in that folder. So shift, comma, like that. I'm going to press the I for image, double click on it like that. Press spacebar, S for source. I'm going to browse to find it, and there it is there, my horse picture. I'm going to open that like that. But this time I'm going to add some more parameters to it. I'm going to press the spacebar again. This time I'm going to type in the letter W for width to tell the browser how wide this picture is. If I double click on width like that, Dreamweaver knows it's 350, so I just press return. How good's that? Press space again. This time I'm going to talk about the height, so H for height like that, and double click on it. Dreamweaver knows it's 173, so if I press return like that, that's enough information. Now I'm going to close that tag by slash and shift full stop. Now watch what happens here when I click refresh like that. If I go to my design view, you'll notice that these two pictures follow each other on the same line. Now that's the difference between an inline and a block element. Now it sounds complicated, it's simply like that. It's the way you write the tag. See how this tag doesn't really have an opening and a closing tag at the end of the content? It simply has an opening bracket like that, and then it closes the bracket with a slash like that. So that's the difference. And what that means is if you use a tag like this, it's an inline element and they will follow each other on the same line. Now that probably doesn't seem like a big deal, does it, at this stage? But it is a huge deal once we start to lay things out using something called CSS. So let's just go over that again. To place an inline element like this, like an image, which is the most common, that we don't have an opening closing like we normally do. We just have an opening tag like that, and then we close it with a slash like this. And go back to design for one more time. As you can see, these are all block elements, these ones here, these headlines, and this list like that, but these here are called inline elements, and again, more of that later. But it's very important to understand that when you're writing tags, whether they start a new line or they stay on the same line.